Thank you. On average, we outlive our ability to drive by 7 years. You might be asking yourself, what is a gerontological social worker doing here tonight talking about transportation instead of a planner or an engineer? Do I know how to design this kind of intersection? I don't. In fact, I don't even know what it's called. Do I know how to move thousands of vehicles in and out of cities every day? Not a clue. But what I do know is that I've spent the last 20 years of my professional life working to improve the quality of life of older adults who are living in our communities. First, as a social worker, and then over the last 15 years as a professor in the College of Social Work at Ohio State. I know that transportation and mobility are the vaccines to social isolation. I know that older adults are at risk of social isolation. I know that we like our cars. Also, as human beings, we don't like to change our behaviors. Some of you may think that older adults are not interested or able to try new things, to engage in technology, when in fact, this generation of older adults have not only witnessed, but contributed to the transition from typewriters to smartphones, from card catalogs to the World Wide Web. This cohort of older adults are as interested and able to try new things, to try alternative transportation options as all generations. Let me talk a little bit about social networks and social isolation. Our social networks are one of the strongest predictors of our length and quality of life. It is a stronger predictor than your diet, how much you exercise, how frequently you go to the doctor, even whether you smoke or not. Let me say that again. Our length and quality of life is influenced the most by our social connections. And what does that mean? Social connections means how many people do you see each day when you get up and go get perhaps a cup of coffee at a local coffee shop, go to work, go volunteer, maybe watch your grandchild play basketball. Also, social networks means the quality of those relationships. If you needed to borrow $100 today, can you think of 2 or 3 people in your life that you might ask for that money and who would be willing to give that to you? How about if are there 2 or 3 people in your life who, if they needed $100, could they ask you for it? So our social networks and social connections predict our length and quality of life. Transportation and mobility are the vaccines to social isolation. We outlive our abilities to drive, on average, 7 years. And that doesn't happen overnight. What is your mobility plan? Let me tell you a story, a couple of stories about some people that I know. The first is about a city official who was responsible for brokering billions of dollars of deals through city council in this city that's thriving, a city where jobs are growing, the number of jobs are growing, the population is growing, the streets are safer. This city official, who was largely credited for this success, often was seen leaving city council meetings early. Was he leaving because he was bored? No. Was he leaving because he was disgusted with the conversation? No. He was leaving because he could not drive at night. And he could not drive at night, not because he had some type of disease, but because of natural changes in our eyesight as we age. So as we age, our eyesight changes, our hearing changes, our response times change. How mobile and flexible our joints are change. All natural parts of aging. So you may have assumed that individuals who outlive their ability to drive are individuals who are not interested or capable of contributing to some of the most challenging issues that we are facing in society. And that's simply not true. Let me tell you about one of my colleagues. One of my colleagues recently had foot surgery and was required to use a knee scooter. And like all good social workers, much of her work is in the community. She had a meeting scheduled in the community with some partners at a coffee shop. She had her mobility scooter ready to go. She had a handicap hang tag for her car. She made sure that that coffee shop was accessible. She found her parking spot. She got out her knee scooter and proceeded to move from the street up to the sidewalk to go into the coffee shop. But there was snow on the ramp from the street to the sidewalk, so she couldn't make it into that meeting. How about you? What if you blow out your knee playing soccer? How did you get here today? Could you get here in the same way you got here today if you had to have a knee replacement or a joint replacement and you were healing? We are all temporarily able-bodied. Some people think the answer to our mobility and transportation challenges rests in autonomous vehicles, perhaps rideshare programs, or maybe fixed route transportation in buses. And in fact, those are very good options for many people. The challenge, however, is just because you build them, they may not come. They may not be used. As my dean, Tom Gregoire, says, all of the simple problems in our communities have been solved. What are left are the complex ones. And those complex problems require interdisciplinary partnerships where engineers and behavioral change experts, social workers, for example, come together and share their technical expertise. And these same technical experts come together with experienced experts, those older adults and people with disabilities who are navigating their mobility and transportation issues and challenges every day. It's only then that we'll be able to build them and people will come and utilize these alternative transportation options. So when I asked my friend Ruth, what does she want to be when she grows up? She says mobile. How about you? Thanks.